If you're new to 3D Foundation by St. Beauty, this is for you. Hello, my name is Althea Gobble, an independent St. Beauty artist. On a clean, dry face, and let your moisturizer soak all the way in first, you're going to start with a contour color, the darker brown. And if you'll notice, I'm going hairline halfway down my forehead, but I am blending it in and pushing it around on my skin before moving on. You want this product to be sheer and use very little and allow the color to do the work. I'm just going underneath my cheekbone, kind of right on it just a little bit, and just blending upward using little product at a time and work it into the skin. It is designed not to be layered and to be minimal. I contour anywhere when I want to accentuate my natural structure of my face. So I put a little bit of contour on my nose and cheekbones, forehead, and underneath my chin to my earlobe, blended down onto my neck very lightly. Always taking time to go back and make sure it's nice and blended so I have a subtle shadow and not lots of product. Also find it's very beneficial to play with your natural structure of your face to add any kind of excess shadow that you want. As you see here, I'm using it to accentuate the apples of my cheeks and always making sure it's nice and smooth. Now I'm going to use a little bit of bronzer. I take above my brow onto the top part of my cheek and then into my jaw area. And notice how I'm barely dabbing into the tin to pick up the product and using very minimal and working it into my skin before moving on. This is the best practice for using this cream to keep it sheer and minimal and let the color complete the coverage. Now moving into the highlight color, I've wiped off my brush. Notice I just barely dab. It's softer than the contour. It takes a little pressure to get it on the brush. And I'm going to work this in to the pie piece underneath my eye, beard, and mustache area and between the brows. And notice how I use the flat end of the brush and I'm just going to move it around into that area and not load up my skin with product, but use what's on my brush and push it into the skin and blend it into that area. It will blend a little bit into the bronzer, but I'm not overlapping where I apply the bronzer or the contour. It's not color by number. Now I'm moving on to the second highlight color. I use the small end of the brush for smaller areas, and I am going to dab small amounts and then work it into the skin, blending it very nicely and making it sheer. If you ever feel like you are heavy-handed and get too much product, you can use a beauty blender, very lightly dampened, using little pouncing motions to make sure that it picks up the product and blends it as well. Here I'm just focusing on the center part of my face, underneath my eyes, and around the creases of my nose, and dabbing a little bit on some hyperpigmentation there. The color that I'm using works well for that. Center of my lip, center of my chin, and then take time just to make sure it's nice and sheer and blended. Now I'm going to move on to cheek color using the same brush. I just dab in the tin and I'm going to add a little bit of natural flush to my cheeks. I like to apply it above my cheekbone, above the contour, and even a little bit on the top part of the apple of my cheek. And I'll also add this color to my lips, which the creams are so versatile that you have multiple uses for each color. Now using a cream illuminator with my fingertip, this gives a nice subtle glow. As you can see there, reflecting off the light, and you apply this anywhere you want that little bit of glow illumination. The great thing about this system is I can customize my palette. In this same palette with all my creams, now I have my eyeshadows, and all of our brushes are double-ended. So here I'm starting with a color called Sedona. It's a matte. All of our eyeshadows are 2.4 grams of product and very pigmented. It takes so little. They literally will last you a very long time. I'm taking this warm brown color into my lash line and bottom lash line. Then I'm moving on to Bubba with the other end of this eyeshadow brush. This one brush is very versatile and could be all that you need for all of your eyeshadow needs. I have more eyeshadow tutorials on all of my platforms. I can customize you a palette and have it all in one. Moving on to the color called Foxy, using the small end of this same brush, using little pressing and dabbing motions to the outer corner. This method of dabbing and pressing the color onto the eyelid is a great method because it keeps from having fallout and it gives you the most pigment on the eyelid. Now I'm moving to a color called Rome into the inner corner and to the brow bone. Add mascara and done. I would set it with setting spray if you like the dewy, or the vanilla dust for the matte look. If you're interested in having all of your makeup in one compact, go to yes.altheamatchme.com and I will color match you.